Hello everybody. So today our discussion will be students with low English proficiency should plagiarize. So what do you think about this topic? Can we start the discussion?
You think?
Okay. I think I agree to that opinion because students with a low English proficiency should be allowed to plagiarize because they don't have the language. So if they are to complete a task, they need to plagiarize because they don't have the language. They don't know how to put everything in sentence properly, and the thing that will come out will not be that good, so it will not
Make sense to other people.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree with her point that we should allow these students with low proficiency to plagiarize because they need to finish their work. Can you imagine if these students who does not know how to construct a good sentence to finish their work, if we don't plagiarize?
No. I disagree because how are they supposed to improve their English in that way?
Well, in some cases, if they plagiarize, then they will learn.
No, but
sometimes.
usually if they plagiarize, they would just copy and paste. How is that supposed to improve their English? I don't understand.
Then you tell
I
me
don't
how
think so.
how are they going to complete their work?
What about tutoring or asking other people's advice or assistance on doing their work? That would be, much better than just simply plagiarizing.
I would have to agree with Yasmin's on disagreeing on the topic because when you plagiarize, not only you're not learning the English, you're not even learning the topic that you're doing. You're just copying and pasting and that's it, the work's done and you don't get anything from it.
But if we follow Yasmin's point, like they need tutoring, it can be done, but it takes longer time because
But that is the whole process of learning, isn't it?
Yeah, that is. But we have to remember that our education system is too exam oriented. That the
But
students
they have to manage their time. I think
But
that is not going to be the problem.
Sorry. Yeah, but I just have to agree that we try to score as high as we can get. And
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, we that's why we have to plagiarize. If you have an low English proficiency, like
then
she
you
said,
will be left behind.
Then
From
how are
our
you
students.
going to survive in life? For example, if you're not in other industries, for example, if you're going to be engineers and with low proficient English, I don't see how you're going to succeed.
And I don't see how not to plagiarize will affect their English. I mean, they can learn English through other ways, not through writing, and they can learn through speaking.
But
they can learn
what
through.
are the other ways that they can if they don't have time to do other stuff? The assignments that are given, that is the only way for them to improve English.
If I may, one of the best way to improve our English is through reading and writing. So by plagiarizing, you're not doing the reading and you're not doing the writing.
Exactly, my point of view.
No,
then
that-
I think I have to agree with you in that point of view because if we keep on copying, it might not improve our English. That's what would happen.
I totally disagree with that.
How
Excuse
come?
me? Because you see, in engineering, you don't really focus on writing. You focus on how you present your work.
I don't think so.
But without the writing and reading, there's no way the student can expand their vocabulary. And without expanding their vocabulary, I don't think they'll have good speaking skills.
That is why we have to focus on one thing for this low proficiency student. Don't you think so?
yes, because when they go for their work, they start their career, maybe they can the project can be done in group. So
Yeah,
the
in
one
groups.
who's good in writing will do the writing, and the one who's good in speaking will do the
So
presentation
the low
or things like that.
the low
And
proficiency
they can
students
start
would
learning
always
in that
have
process.
to depend on others who are better in English.
But then
Until
they can.
future.
But then they can do the presentation because they're good in speaking.
Not necessarily.
Are you sure they're good at speaking in English? They're low proficient students.
Then are you sure they can write better?
They
if
can
they don't
practice.
plagiarize?
They can
If
practice
they don't plagiarize, they can practice, they can read, they can research with whatever
and
assignments
rephrase.
Do you think low proficiency student will have the desire to do those things?
Well, they have to. If you don't believe in them, as you are going to be future educators. If you don't believe in them, how are they supposed to believe in themselves of improvising?
What do you think?
It
I
looks like you have a point.
Yasmin, yeah, I have to agree with your point because if they keep on relying on each other, other people.
Why are you
which-
agreeing with them?
I think he's just being more convinced now because it's obvious that it's not
Are
good.
you more convinced?
Let's talk about quality-wise. When you say that these students can rely on other people to do the writing and the presenting, what about later in life when they're working? Do they expect others to do the writing for them? Do they expect others to do the
Exactly,
talking for them?
depending on others.
You have low proficiency level. You cannot just learn English in one day, in 1 month.
Yes.
If that's so, why don't they start from an early stage?
That's the problem because they are already a low proficiency student and you
Yes.
expect them to write a full
And it's rather
thesis,
too late.
a full thesis of good English without
But we
plagiarizing.
have facilities that can assist us, you know. We
You
have
think so?
lecturers, the library, our friends.
The internet.
Yes.
Don't you think that all those things are also like you're relying on them and it's not on yourself?
No, but for now, as students, it's okay to rely on assistants.
That's the perfect time to
Yes.
learn.
Okay.
Will they have the time to do the research and to learn
But
everything
that is
from
the
the very
process of
beginning?
learning, isn't it? So you're still not gonna disagree with me.
Of course, I think plagiarism is good for those students with low proficiency.
But why?
The whole point of plagiarism is copying and pasting without reading, especially when you get the materials from the internet.
And that's why it's illegal. Let's say in a bigger scope in future, when they say design something, are you going to go to the internet and look for a similar design and copy it? No, that's not how you do it. So it's as well as in English, you can't just do that. You have to have your own ideas, your own creativeness. You can't just simply plagiarize.
We can see from the developed countries itself that they're developed because of their original ideas. It's not because they're copying from others. It's-
Definitely.
So I guess in a science and technology world, we have to come up with original ideas in order to improve our country's development.
But then how are they going to develop these creative ideas if they don't have the language?
They can. That is the.
That is the whole
was
point
what
of
I was trying to
plagiarizing.
say. You have assistants. You are students. You have assistants.
But then before
you have
you
lecturers,
plagiarize, you have
teachers.
to read the topic. You have if you're going to Google it, and then you have to read the topic first before you cut and paste it and paste it
sooner
in
or
your
later
thesis
you
work.
will be able to
But you'd
understand
be like,
it
oh,
because
I
you are
don't have
reading.
time for this. So you'll be like, oh, I'll just copy it anyway.
No, you
And
you
then
have
you won't
and then you
edit it.
have the lecturers to read it who will read your thesis.
That's
and
what
then,
I said. Assistants.
Yeah, and then you have if you
And if you
plagiarize,
have-
you just read it
doesn't
first
mean
before
that
you
you don't
take the
have
topic.
the language. You're not creative, you know. Because okay, for example, if your first language is Malay, you can always think of creative ideas in Malay and then ask assistants like, how do I put this in words in English? You know.
Then
Because-
that won't be learning English.
Yes, you can learn English.
No.
You can ask for assistance.
Okay,
then.
for example, if you just write it in Malay and then you ask someone to translate it in English,
No,
then
I'm
No,
not saying
it's not
write it in
translating.
Malay. I'm just saying you have the ideas, but you don't know how. So you can just simply say it in your own language or ask assistants.
Yeah.
And like, how do I put this in correct, proper, beautiful words in English?
Because when you plagiarize, sometimes the points don't mesh well together.
Yes.
One,
that is when you have to have a creative mind to. In order to plagiarize
plagiarize.
well, you have to have a creative mind. You don't have to have the language, but then sooner.
Okay.
But then later you will learn the language because you read before you plagiarize.
Fine, whatever.
You have your point and they have their point. One is more on you should be saying they should rely on themselves and then they should create things, innovations, and it's more on is it legal or illegal? So that's your point. And then we have here they'll be saying that this is the survival of the fetus. And then if you do not have enough, if you cannot cope with your innovation of language, you have to find ways to enrich your English, and then maybe because you cannot create it, so you have to cooperate. So from both points there, if we're going to say it on the legal side, plagiarism will never be accurate, or it will never be allowed because it's wrong no matter how. But if we follow on the law of survival, there can be a lot of exceptions. So, but I think both discussion has made a very good point, and we can see that we have different view on it, and it's just more on, do you really want to do the right thing, or you just want to survive? So that's all for today. Thank you for the discussion.